spirit talks to you through numbers, through omens, through signs, those kind of things. But also like me being a two-spirited person, being like a non-binary person, the gender identity aspect of it too was spirit teaching me the balance between my high masculine and my high feminine energies and what that truly means. So my own healing, how to like these are the things I teach in the Earth Warrior School, the Earth Warrior Way, with my students and clients. It's like how to navigate life through a greater understanding of energy, through our masculine and feminine energies, through our connection of source, through our walking of the beauty way, and through seeing things from higher perspectives, like ultimately, and also understanding the power of frequency to manifest, right? And the creator energy that we have. These are the things that I started learning of, not just in my shamanic path, but also learning of things in new age concepts, in quantum physics, but mostly a lot from the plants, truly. So yeah, from that healing journey, I started clarifying, deprogramming a lot, learning a lot, and then the next step was to share it with others. You know, same thing with my music. I wrote music to heal myself, and then now I share it with others.
Wow. You know, to me, it sounds, I can relate to so much of your story, by the way, the, you know, non-binary nature of things and being, you know, queer in a society that doesn't have any space for that. And also being super witchy, you know, and shamanic and being like, this is weird. No one likes, like, what if I see spirits, that's not okay. If I talk to spirits, it's not okay. So I can relate to so much of your story. And I know a lot of people in the pleasure circle are feeling that too. And listening to the podcast, I'm curious about, because I see so many people that have this inkling in their body, that have this feeling of the you know, the structures that have been set forth from my family, from my parents, from society are not all there is, right? They have this like this inner knowing in their body of there's something bigger, there's something more free for me, but it's terrifying for them. And that first step, to jump out and go, I'm going to become fully myself, I'm going to step into my dharma, I'm going to show up as me, is so scary that they don't do it. That they're it's like they hide in it, right? So what was that moment? Do you remember any of those moments or those early moments for you of when you were like, fuck it, I'm just going to do this, I'm terrified and I'm going to do this, and how you
Oh
moved through
yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's a way that I already knew this was exhausting. The life that I was living was exhausting. And like, you know, after this podcast, I'm gonna just send you a picture of how I looked like when I was in my early 20s.
I
Like,
want to see
I'm
the
telling you,
Porsche.
long
Show me the
hair,
Porsche.
makeup. I totally will. And I just remember like going home from arriving at my room from a day of pretending or a day of playing a role, of playing a part that I continue to perpetuate. Because honestly, like I really, I there was validation from that. There was validation from living the path and walking the path that they wanted. But I just remember going home and just, you know, taking my clothes off, putting on like a tank top and just like suddenly like going into my, you know, my androgynous self that I've been hiding all day and just feeling so tired and thinking this isn't me, you know. And I just didn't listen to it because there was so much at stake with my family and with my life that I didn't feel like, I just felt like it was a necessary sacrifice, you know. And I don't think you need to be queer to understand those sacrifices that we do for others, right? But the one moment that really took me, that really flipped everything for me, and I think many people, this is the way that spirit speaks to you, right? They shock you with something dramatic to get your attention. You know, I listened to Wendy Kennedy a lot, and she was like, when drama happens to get your attention, whether it's a car accident or a sudden death in the family or something like that. And for me, it was in my sophomore year of college, where a good friend of mine from high school died suddenly. He had an aneurysm and within 48 hours passed away. And it shocked me, you know. We were very young, so it just felt so soon. It was very sudden. And I never experienced a loss like that. I've had family members pass away, knew them personally. So this was the first person close to my heart that passed. And it shocked me. And I really took a good look at whose life am I living?
Mm.
You know, whose life am I living? And what is this all for? I had that moment of questioning life and tuning into the preciousness of it, the preciousness of life. And if I was really truly living to my truth authentically. And it was interesting because this my friend that passed away, like, you know, I was kind of raised to be a successful person in the sense that there was a certain look, feel, talk, career, all that I was following. But he was a guy that was just chill, you know, like he was just like, I'm just here to spread love and be love and do my thing. And, you know, he wasn't really in it to win it in the sense of the conquest game of life. You know, the game of life is around conquest and glory, right? He
Yeah.
wasn't part of that kind of bubble. And so, but people loved him. He touched people's lives.
Mm.
And I noticed that I was trying to look good and be all, with all the good people, you know, all the popular people and do all the cool things. And I don't, and I wonder, it's like, if I passed away, would people have really loved me? Could they say that I love this person? And I didn't,
Mm.
in that moment, I didn't, because I was just living so superficially that everything was just surface level, you know, parties at the club and, you know, cute, you know, whatever, photos at expensive restaurants and all that. And so, um, I started to really follow the path of sincerity now. It's not like, oh, I want to get good grades because I want to go to a good medical school so I can get a good job and marry a rich man and have a good family. Like it wasn't a domestication. I
Mm.
started to re-architect things to truly like, I'm doing this because I genuinely find it interesting. I'm genuinely curious. I'm genuinely fascinated. I'm genuinely called. There's a deeper heartfelt purpose than just being successful and doing the right thing. And so when I started to realize what I didn't want, I started to reorient myself to what I actually wanted. And that's when the journey began. From that death came this rebirth in me. And even up to now, I just knew in that moment, this is going to change my life forever. And that shortly after that, came out to my family, like just cut my hair, you know, like all these sort of things started coming.
Mm.
And that was another rite of passage, but that was the initial catalyst to that big shift.
Wow, that's so powerful. I love that you said that spirit, you know, it shocks us. And I can so relate. I can so relate. And I know a lot of people in my community. I just had a question yesterday of someone that was like, I'm so scared of stepping out and being my full self because something bad always happens. There's always some sort of trauma. And what would you say to
Mm.
them? What would you say to them, that person? Because that was an interesting question.
Yeah, you know, it depends on your perspective and what you believe bad is, right? So, you know, when I stepped into my full self, I came out to my family and they rejected me. I had
Mm.
$100 in my pocket. I was not a US citizen and I was homeless instantly from like, I don't know, you know, the lifestyle that I had to like having nothing and starting from nothing. So that was technically bad and very challenging and very difficult. But it was very rewarding because it allowed me to develop my own spiritual strength. It allowed me to now celebrate all the things I have in my life because I earned it, not because it was just given to me in a silver spoon, although that's really nice sometimes, right? Um, I, um, and so, you know, when you go through a rite of passage to step into your truth, there will be, you know, there could be some tests along the way. Some things may fall away in order for new things to come. When you choose a new vibration, all the things are not in alignment with that vibration starts to fall away. And depending on your perspective, it could be a very thrilling experience or it could be a very traumatic experience. You know, the difference between thrilling and anxiety is the breath. And so when you can really integrate, and breath is the greatest connector to spirit. You know, when we use our breath intentionally, we can connect to spirit instantly. And so through our connection to spirit, we can be granted with the resources to support the spiritual fortitude to move through those transitions. And the end result's always rewarding.
Mhm.
Genevieve, you probably had many of this, like me coming out to my family, me getting married, me leaving the medical path to go into a software engineering path, rocking that, and then leaving the tech industry, which is also very lucrative, also very alluring, and then going into like, the spiritual artist, and the fear of that, of being like, I don't want to be a starving artist and poor healer, and then smashing those paradigms as well, and
Mhm.
stepping into entrepreneurship. These are all like these rites of passage of more of who you are. And even I'm up leveling more into that. It never ends, and that's the
Mhm.
exciting part. That's the
Mhm.
journey of the soul. It's an infinite expansion. And the more you are able to easily release attachment, domestications, the
Mhm.
freer you'll be. And it's always rewarding in the end.
I love that so much. And what I'm hearing is that similar. So one of the things I teach is getting people into a liminal state through pleasure, right? Which opens the theta waves and all of that. And I'm sure you have your own methods for getting into a liminal states of being. But the what you're really speaking to is listening to that small, still inner voice and acting on that instead of listening to societal shoulds, or I mean, even in entrepreneurship, right? And developing wealth, if we listen to what everyone else says, we're not going to develop any wealth. We need to start to
Mm-hmm.
listen, right, to that inner voice that says, go do that crazy thing that no one's done before. Go be wild, go do it. So yeah, could you speak to kind of how do you get into that state of being for yourself? Everyone knows how I do it, but how do you get into that state of being for you?
Yeah, and I think you and I are aligned in this space that, like, our highest vibration is what brings in creative ideas,
Yeah.
incredible opportunities. It opens paths, right? Because it's expansive, and so when for me, like what I always say is that our first priority in our lives and our everyday is our vibration, and going to a space where you're feeling really good, when you're really inspired. So I always go into creativity. And this is linked to, our sacral chakra, our sexual center, our creative center. They're one,
Yeah.
right? And so when you're in that creative space, and I don't mean just doing art or doodling or whatever, that space where you feel liberated, free, excited, you know, that is the space that you get to cultivate in order to raise your vibration and thus receive those higher insights, courage, excitement, conviction, inspiration, flow. For me, it's music. For me, and then when I say creativity, I mean creativity for the sake of creativity, not for the
Mhm.
sake of some kind of end result.
That's right.
It is a feminine cultivation of self. So, so in that creative space, for me, it's music. So I bring my guitar out and I jam and I just channel songs from spirit, and there's no end result. I'm not posting it on Facebook later. It's just for me, and it's out in nature. For my partner, Paola, she dances. I mean, she shakes her booty
That's what I
and
do.
sweats and drips and all that. And yeah, and she's just so turned on with self and life, and she's there. For some people, it's cooking. For some people,
Mhm.
it's art, and for some people, it's woodworking. What is that
Mhm.
creative thing? You don't necessarily have to make a career out of it. I've been lucky enough to align in that way, but this is the thing that gets you excited, and it's a very simple technique. I have many other techniques, but this is the one I always lead with, because when you're in that creative space, what do? You generate your own universe.
Yeah.
You generate and feed energy into your own universe, and you're putting it out into the world. It's not just an internal work, because yes, the internal work is where you receive that silent space, is when you receive the insights. But then when you engage in the sacred masculine as well, outputting it into the physical world,
Right.
then you bring your energy within out, and that's when you manifest, right?
Mm.
So that's the mechanics of manifestation, and the first step is being in that vibration of your fullest expression, your deepest connection, that you can then channel into your service in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that so much. I often say that in the morning. So I do a whole like dance, stretch, self pleasure, meditate, doodle, like I have a 3 hour every morning. I barely work because that's the majority of my day, right? So 3 hours. And then I show up and do shit like this. But I always joke that in those 3 hours, what's happening is my inner sacred masculine and my inner sacred feminine are literally just fucking each other. Like she's going, I want to do this. And he's like, okay, I want to do this. Okay. Right. And we have this whole thing. And then I'm so full. I'm so full and nourished. So I can show up for the people that want, have questions and need things and feel scared. Like that self-nourishment. I really feel that self-nourishment could shift the planet, right? So we're not grabbing, we're not coming at the world with this grabby energy, but with this energy of like, this is what I have to create. This is how full I am. I'm in overflow. Right. So I'm just loving that. Yeah. I'm loving that so much. Okay. I have to ask about plant medicine because my community is really big on plant medicine. And it's been a huge, my first healing was through sexuality. And then I've gone into kind of the grow up phase. I feel like my grow up phase was actually through medicine. My glow up, my enlightenment was through sex. And then the grow up healing the little girl was through plants. So yeah, what's that experience been like for you, and how do you use it in order to, bring yourself back to that creative zone and this high vibration that you speak of?
Yeah, the plant medicine path, and primarily studying Peruvian mestizo tradition in South America. Also studying other lineages as well, but that's my primary lineage that I study in. And it's so profound. It's hard to put to words, but here's what I'll share.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll share. I always go to plant medicine as teachers. That's my relationship with it, as guides, as friends. And they hold wisdom so ancient and so powerful. And they're so highly intelligent that they can show me the things that I am not fully aware of and help me deepen in learnings I already know. But deepening, understanding, deeper depths, deeper understanding. Medicine is where I actually activated my channel through these diets, dieting a master plant and working with ayahuasca to create that bridge to these master plants that have certain qualities, healing qualities, physical and spiritual healing qualities. And after every diet initiation to a master plant, there's just a new toolkit of treasures of superpowers. Honestly, it's where my psychic and intuitive abilities increase. It's when my heart capacity to love and receive increased. It's when my channel opened as a musical channel, channeling earth, nature, spirit, light language. And that's also where I heal deeply. Every time I up level or choose to up level, there's usually a deeper initiation of healing and death that happens before I rise up. And so, in fact, the Earth Warrior way, where I teach the 6 dimensions of spiritual self-mastery, was guided by the plants. They shared with me, these are the 6 dimensions we've been supporting you in: your own connection with yourself, with the cosmos, and with Earth wisdom, the balance between your high masculine, high feminine, yin yang energies, your alchemy, the navigation of your own personal and direction of your own personal energy. Beauty, walking the beauty way, knowing your unique medicine, holding love and compassion for others and the unity consciousness, and living with inspiration. Crystallization, the mechanics of manifestation and bringing your dreams to life, what that really looks like. And then wisdom, seeing things from a higher perspective, going into unity consciousness, being able to transform challenges and obstacles into gifts and opportunities. That's wisdom. And those are the 6 dimensions that they've been teaching me. If you were to take all the lessons, you can categorize them in one or few of these dimensions. And that's what's been really powerful for me, not only spiritually, but also physically. Like in terms of my sexual and creative energy, in terms of my physical strength. Like I was like, prior to plant medicine, I was very like timid and, kind of weak, and I was like always like this. And plant medicine just gave me this like warrior energy to support me in the good work. When it comes to like walking in our dharma, it's a service to all. It's from that space of service. And so it's really taught me a balance of being empowered in who I am, knowing that my power is shared with everything. It's not like I'm special, yes, seeing my own specialness, but knowing that I'm not more special than anyone else, and knowing that that specialness is shared.
Mhm.
So it really brought me to greater understanding of what it means to be whole and one with all things. So even my perspectives on oppression has shifted because I'm stepping more into my power. And that's the message that I hope to share more and more with my work.
So beautiful. Thank you. I'm loving your experience with the medicines and just how healing and empowering they've been for you. It's really, really awesome. And I can imagine that the transmission that you have for people when they come into your circle because of that is pretty profound. So I want to make sure, just to wrap, that everyone kind of knows where to find you. And it seems like it's a pretty easy website, lotussky.com. So that's awesome. So they can find you there. Is there anything else you want to mention to the community, both live and recording, before we head out for today?
Yeah, absolutely. So one is, yes, www.lotussky.com. And then follow me on Instagram at Lotus Sky underscore, or Facebook as well as Lotus Sky. I actually just released my new single, Show Your Colors, which is a pride anthem. It's epic. And you can find that on my Bandcamp, lotussky.bandcamp.com. It'll be on streaming services. But if you're really looking for your own self-empowerment and self-expression, you can start there. You don't have to be queer to relate to the music and the songs. But if you resonated with my messages, follow me on Instagram, send me a message. I'd love to hear from you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on Lotus Sky. And I'm so happy. It's been so long since we've connected. So it's beautiful to see your face and be in your energy. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Genevieve, for having me. And yeah, thank you for creating this platform and doing the good work.
Yeah, absolutely. Aho. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.